A very good afternoon and welcome along to day 2 of SIGA's Female Leadership in Sport Web Summit. Ben Jacobs with you throughout the day. Make sure you engage with us, ask plenty of questions. It's a 3-day event. All of yesterday's panels will be available on YouTube in due course, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter as well. Do donate if you can too. We'd love even the price of a cup of coffee or a beer and help us champion sport integrity. You can do that by clicking on the donate button via the app. Details are on the website as well. And although I'm asking for small amounts, if you can reach into your pockets a little bit deeper, find the money behind the couch and so on, then thousands and even millions would be greatly appreciated if you so desire. We do appreciate it's difficult times though for everybody at the moment, and we thank you for your donations if you've already got involved. We've got lots to get through today, 4 live webinars and some keynote speeches as well. And if you're a SIGA mentor or mentee, you can participate in closed sessions as well. At noon today, we had one on discrimination and sexual abuse in sport. And tomorrow, also at noon, you can get involved in our behind closed doors leadership panel. That one should be really interesting. And now I want you to engage with us as well throughout the day. Please use the hashtag #SIGAWomen. I'm asking you in particular, who is your role model or who's helped you in your career? Give somebody in this industry a much needed shout out. Do it on Twitter and please tag us and use the hashtag #SIGAWomen. And Stand with SIGA is our other hashtag. And what I want you to do is send me a photograph today via Twitter of where in the world you are watching. I'm trying to put together a global map of our audience. We had over 1,000 delegates yesterday, which I think might be a record for SIGA. And you get bonus points if you can send me a photograph of you and a cute kid or a pet. Dogs in particular are going to go down very well with me. We had one dog yesterday that was Sonic, and a brand new puppy as well from one of our moderators, Susie Rack at The Guardian. Right, let's get things underway. Webinar number 5, it's called How Can Sport Learn from Female Leadership in Other Sectors? An excellent topic, and we've got a great panel as well. Delighted to welcome Shelley Zallis, the CEO of the Female Quotient, alongside her, Victoria Slavkova, who is Director of European Programs, Projects and International Cooperation Directorate at the Ministry of Youth and Sports. Alison Johnson is on this panel as well. She's the president and CEO of the Gilly Group. And Kay Rawlings is with us. She's the founder and SVP of Community Relations at Orlando City Soccer Club. Your moderator is a career success coach and the owner and operator of JTC. It's a very good afternoon to Jennifer Tardy.
Hello there. I am so excited to be here. And Ben, thanks so much for that great opening about pictures of puppies. And I love it. I love it. So we have a very, very important conversation that we'll be having today on the panel. And I personally love talking about anything related to diversity and inclusion and leadership and how people can move their career paths into leadership. And so we have a great panel that Ben mentioned a second ago. I would love to take a moment to give each one of you an opportunity to share a little bit about yourself, meaning your role, what do you do? And then let's go right into the topic. What can sport learn from female leadership in other sectors? So let's kick things off with you, Alison.
Hi, I'm Alison Johnson. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited about this conversation today and to chat with all of you ladies. I am the president and CEO of Gilly Group. We are a sports marketing agency focused on building brands through marketing, digital spend, advertising, PR, and sponsorship activation, primarily in professional golf, men's and women's. And then I'm also the co-founder of White Tea Partners with my business partner, Leslie Ann Wade. And we are focused on strategic communications in the golf space. So social media, PR, and doing some sponsorship stuff there as well. So I've been in the golf industry for just under 25 years and have worked on all sides of the coin. So I've worked as tournament director for New Jersey State Golf Association. I went to the PGA Championship at Baltusrol for the PGA of America, where I ran marketing and sales. Went in-house to a high-end private club and ran an LPGA tournament there on behalf of the club, and then went to Wyndham Worldwide Corporate, where I left as global head of marketing, communications, PR, digital, launched our philanthropy and our CSR efforts. But I also got to run the Wyndham Championship on the PGA Tour, which was amazing. Participated in the Masters. We had a partnership with Brandt Snedeker, and I served on the board for both the AJGA as well as the New Jersey PGA. So basically, I live, eat, and breathe golf, which I love. And it's a really exciting time in the space because there are more women than ever that are entering the game. So now our focus is to keep them there. So women are the demographic that is really the topic of conversation in a lot of ways, whether it's lessons, opportunities for membership, product, tournaments, all kinds of great stuff. So it's a really exciting time for women who both work in golf and women who play golf. So I'm excited to dig deeper.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Allison. Let's scoot on over to you, Shelly.
Oh, hi, everyone. I am Shelly Zalis, the CEO of the Female Quotient. The Female Quotient, first came the Intelligence Quotient, IQ, then came the Emotional Quotient, EQ. Now comes the Female Quotient, FQ. When you add more women to any equation, there's a return on equality. I am otherwise known as Chief Troublemaker, well known for breaking all the rules and writing the new ones so that all of us could come into the workplace. And as Allison said, how do we retain them so that we could also thrive and rise to leadership? And so we do that. We advance women, advance equality through three core ways. One is community building. We have the largest global community of women in the workplace, women supporting other women from entry level through board level. The other way that we do that is through pop-ups. We have equality lounges all over the world at big industry conferences so that everyone can get together in safe spaces and have uncomfortable conversations together so that we can move towards closing the gaps. We also have launched a global packed dinner party, uniting the world through the power of women in over 100 countries. So that is a pay it forward dinner. And as Madeleine Albright says, women that don't support other women deserve a place in hell. We say that women that support other women deserve a place in heaven. And it really is about the power of that network, of how we truly can find that voice within, that confidence to push out. And then the other way that we work is in measurement. How do we hold companies accountable for closing the pay gap, the pipeline gaps, the policy gaps, and become a quality fit? And then, of course, as women, we are all about impact and giving back with generosity, helping women around the world. So that is what we do.
Thank you for sharing that, Shelly. I appreciate it. A quick question for you, Shelly, too. How can sport learn from female leadership in other sectors?
I mean, I think we're learning a lot from sport, to be perfectly honest. I mean, the whole power of sport and role models and team building and how important it is to believe in yourself and believe in others. We learn a lot from sport. And I think what sport is learning from Fortune 500, which is where I spend a lot of time, is how important accountability is. I am the co-founder of See Her. If you can see her, you can be her. And we are working on the accurate, realistic portrayal of girls and women in media and entertainment. It's just so incredibly important, especially when we look at sport and less than 4% of highlight reels feature women in sports. And so it's the chicken and egg. You know, if we want more attendance, we want more visibility. We want women in sports to be treated and paid as equally as men, then we do need to also showcase women for who they truly are, which is remarkable. So I think we are learning from each other.
Great, thank you. And Kay, what about you? A little bit about yourself, and then also what sport can learn from female leadership in other sectors.
Good morning or good afternoon, or because I know we're in many different countries. So yeah, I'm a founder and a minority owner of Orlando City Soccer Club of MLS and Orlando Pride of NWSL. Proud to say we have Marta, who is a 6 times FIFA World Player of the Year, who plays on our team. Originally from the UK, moved to the US in 2004, became a citizen in 2018. But I'm now bilingual in English and American. I run all of our community outreach and our foundation. So We build mini pitches in underserved areas. We bring free soccer programming, that's all the equipment and everything that the kids need to wear. And we also build community gardens in food deserts, which I know seems a little unusual for a soccer club to be doing gardening, but it fits in with the health and wellness and the nutrition message that we want to bring out into our communities. I have a lot of speaking roles on behalf of the club, very involved in female mentorship. We recently opened a new chapter of WISE, which is Women in Sports and Events here in Orlando. That it's a national organization, but and that's to figure out this whole leadership thing and how do we get more women into sport. You know, I love watching some of the young leaders women leaders in other industries, including, you know, the way they use their social media platforms. If you go on TikTok and Instagram, you'll see boss babes. And, you know, if you watch them and see how they talk about that you can have it all, that you can be a mom, you can be a boss, you can be a leader of a big company. So I think I'm excited to learn more from them. And I saw Kamala Harris, I think it was yesterday, saying that the world was built for men, and now we have to rebuild it to include women. And I think that's where we are right now.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that quote. Victoria, what about you? Would you love to introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. I'm Victoria from Bulgarian Ministry of Youth and Sport. But before I was working in the Ministry of Regional Development, which is a little bit male sector, construction. And then I was in a construction company, international director representing the company abroad. Also was very difficult with men all the time, engineers, road constructors, government representative from the Balkans were mainly men. But I deal with this, and even I enjoy it. As a young girl, I like to play with boys, and this is my life. I continue to do it, and I enjoy it very much. Then I moved to Vienna. I was in our permanent mission to UN, and I was in, again, male sector, atomic energy, CTBTO. This is the organization for against tests with atomic bombs, and the UNODC, which is the United Nations Organization for Drug and Crime. Again, a lot of men, but I enjoy it again. And I think I gained a lot of friends there, still working with them, now going in this sports sector. Again, we have their integrity, and we are working with them again. So I think I have good friends from this sector and from male. So I'm now also representing Bulgaria, and also as an expert in a lot of intergovernmental organization on a very high position. I'm a member of the Bureau for Sport in Council of Europe. I'm also vice chair of CGEP. This is Intergovernmental Organization for Sport and Physical Education to UNESCO. I'm a deputy member of World Anti-Doping Agency Foundation Board, and I'm an elected expert in the Finance and Administrative Committee, where the main principle for being elected was the gender principle. So not only the regional, but also the gender. So I think I got the chance to be a member there, together with the president of Seychelles, and I think Olympic champions from US and such kind of people, because it was gender principle where I can get the position. I'm very happy to be together with you, and I would like to thank very much Emmanuel and Katie at SIGA for the kind invitation to be part of this celebration of female leadership in sport. And I'm truly honored to speak in the same event as female leaders such as fellow Bulgarian, the European Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education, Youth and Sport, Ms. Maria Gabriel. She was opening yesterday. I'm glad and proud to be Bulgarian in sport, and I feel blessed with the exceptional female talent We have the Bulgarian president of the National Olympic Committee is a woman, and we have a lot of, not a lot, very small number, but a high-profile sport federation where the presidents are women. In Bulgaria, and I would like to that Bulgaria has this balance to have a vice president female, to have a president of the parliament female. We have 2 or 4 vice prime minister female, and half of the minister from the government are female. So I think we really respect the gender equality. And I'm happy to be also European, because the European Union as well follow this strict rule. And I really don't feel any problem having a position as a female. I'm really happy, but this is only in the government sector. We're not talking about the sport federation and sport itself. There, we don't have such a balance. Bulgaria participated in one project of Council of Europe called OIN, and it's about how much the woman is represented in this high position. And actually the numbers are not so good in this way. I'll give you some numbers. In Europe, women hold only 8% of the president of the National Olympic Sports Federation. And women are only 1 in 5 employed in the National Olympic Sports Federation. 11 sports, the 37%, do not have any female president in the national federations. And most female presidents are in skating. You can guess: skating, gymnastics, triathlon. So it's not such a large number in the management. So we have to improve, and we can learn from business and from politics. And if we have a look at the politics, as I mentioned, we have this in Bulgaria, we have this in the European Union. I have also a good friend, Bulgarian, who is a vice president of the European Investment Bank. Also, Kristalina Georgieva, who is the chair of International Monetary Fund, again Bulgarian. We have the president of the European Commission, President von der Leyen. So a lot of female in the politics. We can give example as well with the first female U.S. Secretary of the Treasury, the first female Minister of Finance in Canada, the President of the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde, the President of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, all female, as well as the head of the World Trade Organization. So I'm very happy and proud that these women managed to go there. In addition to politics, as well, sport can draw inspiration from the world of business. And when I entered the ministry, my boss, my minister, told me, he's very good like friend of mine, and he said, you know what, if you want to be successful in your directorate and in the international sphere, you have to deal with your directorate as a startup. Don't put all these, you know, administration things and all this bureaucracy on the table. Deal is more effective, more dynamic, and make the gender balance. I'm not sure that I did it with the gender balance because we have more females than male in my directorate, but it's almost equal. So yeah.
You have a lot of great data, very, very good points. And I absolutely appreciate that because it sets up exactly what we're talking about today. I mean, everything that you're saying is talking about how, especially in Bulgaria, that, you know, you do have more representation of women, but when we're talking about sports, there's still underrepresentation. So I think that there's a lot that we're going to have to unpack with what you're saying throughout this conversation today. But I'm so excited that you shared that information. One of the things that I did want to also say too is that I do have some questions that I'm going to ask over, you know, across the panel, just because I love asking questions, especially in the realm of diversity and inclusion, which really today we're focused on women. And, but at the very end, we're going to save the last 10 minutes so that we can get questions from the audience. And so if you're watching this today and you have questions, drop some questions into the chat, and then I will make sure that I pick up as many of those questions as possible, so that we can get your answers. Now, you can see across the panel, if you're watching this, that there's so much experience. Everyone has a different journey to the top of their career. One of the first questions that I have, and I'm actually going to kick things off with Kay and Allison, it's around unwritten rules. So there are those rules that we know in order to get to the top of our field, but there are also those rules that nobody talks about. You just have to discover along the way. Kay, starting with you, what was one unwritten rule that you found out about, and how did you learn this rule?
I mean, I've actually got kind of an example of a good and a bad unwritten rule. So I think the bad one, for a lot of people, is around working hours. So people may say this job is 9 to 5, and then you get there and you realize no one's going home at 5. You know, and that there's an expectation that you should stay on, and you should, that shows that you're committed and you're a hard worker. And to be honest, building the club, I think we were guilty of that expectation of the people around us. Anybody who's ever built a business knows it's a 24/7 job, and you get caught up in the passion of it, and you kind of expect that so is everyone else. So I feel, looking back, we probably put a lot of pressure on the staff that were around us in the very heady beginning days of starting a soccer team. An unwritten one that I love, though, is we wrote a community clause into the contracts of our players so that we could get them out into the community, doing volunteer work, doing good work. When you move up into the MLS, you're not allowed to keep that clause. But by then, you've already built a company culture of everyone's expected to do some volunteer work. It's not a written rule to do it, but it's there.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. What about you, Allison? What's an unwritten rule?
I was very fortunate that in my first role as tournament director, I had a boss who allowed for me to ask a million questions. And I was a sponge at that point, because I was brand new to the golf industry. I just got out of school. And I remember him saying to me, we're on a golf cart at a tournament, and I would ask him everything. And he said, the most important thing you can remember in sports, if you're going to stay working in the sports field, is to never burn bridges. Because it's such a small industry. You know, the world is small in a lot of ways, but I'll tell you, golf, it's like this big. Everybody knows each other. You know, the people that I do business with now, I've known my entire career for the most part. And so to the point that, you know, it came to the last golf season that I knew I was going to work there. And at the very beginning of August, which is when things start to wrap up in New Jersey, we're pretty much done by October. I said, I just want to let you know this is my last golf season. And he said, where are you going? I said, I don't know, but I know that this is it. And he was like, why are you telling me so early? And I said, well, because you told me never to burn bridges. So I want to give you the heads up that, you know, you'll have time to find your next tournament director. And so it took a little while, and we're starting to get into the off season, and he was starting to have me do things for the next season. I kept saying to him, I'm leaving. I'm not going to be here. Like, you need to post this job. And to the point that he was like, but you don't know where you're going yet. I said, I know, but you told me you don't burn bridges. So I'm leaving whether I have a job or not. Because if I start this season, I can't leave you in the middle of a season, right? So it actually worked out really well. I went to PGA. But that stayed with me. I mean, to the point that I planned my wedding around golf. I planned my children's births around golf. So, you know, but it got me to a place where people knew if I committed to something, I meant it, right? And so that don't burn bridges also goes to the flip side when you have a disagreement with someone, or you're coming from a different perspective, and there's that tension, you know, how you deal with it. It stays with you, especially when you're in a small industry, because people talk. So, you know, really making sure that you are being true to yourself, but really keeping yourself elevated so that no matter what people say, you know that it's a good representation of your work and your professional ethics and that kind of stuff.
Both of those were good. We could have a whole panel just talking about unwritten rules. But the next question, I think, is just as important. So whenever I'm working with people who are on the job search, we talk a lot about how not only do you have to navigate external barriers to getting a new job and to getting a promotion, there's also a lot happening internally. And so this question goes to you, Shelley, and you, Victoria. What are some of the things that you had to overcome internally or emotionally in order to make it to the top of your field? Shelley, let's start with you.
Oh gosh, that's a whole session too, in and of itself. I say session, it's probably a therapy session. You know, I knew that I always thought differently. I knew I always acted differently, but I also knew that I was never going to be right because I was supposed to conform to the legacy rules of leadership. And, you know, when we talk about the best qualities of leadership today, those are feminine qualities: empathy, compassion, vulnerability, resilience, passion, you know, all of those things. And yet leadership of the past was the masculine, decisive, linear, aggressive, assertive, and none of those were who I was as a human authentically or consistently. And so, you know, it all started with my first review where I thought I was such a goody two shoes. I came in early, I stayed late, I followed all of the quote unquote unwritten rules, which is perception, which is not necessarily reality. And of course, I got this, you know, report on a typewritten, you know, thing, 6 pages long. We had typewriters at the time, the tiny little print. And the first 3 lines were niceties. I'm compassionate and I'm kind and I'm a team player. But then the other 5.5 pages ripped me to shreds. I spend too much time with clients. I push people out of their comfort zone. I expect too much. I say yes to clients and then expect to. And I remember at that moment looking at my male boss, thinking to myself, well, I'm supposed to say you're right because he's my boss and I'm 25 years old and I really need my job. But my heart just wouldn't let me go there. And I ended up looking at him saying, gosh, you are so incredibly wrong. And one day you're going to regret this decision. I have no idea. But that's when I started following my heart. And I call those heartbeat moments, not cognitive, not my head, not the rational, but truly following my heart. And the second moment was when I had this idea to pioneer online research and migrate research from offline to online. And I was with all my bosses, men. And I said, hey, why don't we talk about migrating research? And I was told that it wasn't the right time. I'm like, okay. And a week later, I was on a panel with the chief research officer of Procter & Gamble. And my bosses are in the front row and I'm whispering to Larry Mock, the chief research officer. And I come off the stage and my boss is like, what did you talk to him about? What did you talk to him about? I said, I just asked him, when is the right time to come to the largest marketer in the world, Procter & Gamble, and start working on migrating research to the internet? And my boss said, what did he say? I said, he said, next week, we're going to Procter & Gamble. And my boss said, oh my God, this is amazing. Paul's going to go, John's going to go, Ringo's going to go, and Star's going to go. And I'm like, but what about Shelley? And they said, it's a boys club there. And so we think this is the best. I'm 59, so this is a long time ago. And I said, fine, if I'm not going, I will cancel the meeting and you can all wait for the right time. And so I think that that really was a transformative moment for me, that I wanted to lead. I wanted to be right. I wanted to do it my way. And I needed to stand up and be proud that my differences were truly my greatest strength. And I did not need permission. I did not need to apologize. And I have to say, I would not be where I am today if I did not follow my heart, be brave, bold, not be afraid to make the mistakes that I did, because I am the pioneer or the mother of online research and the mother of that invention. So those were moments in my life that today I pay it forward and get and give back with generosity what I wish I had rising the ranks.
And what's so interesting is that the audience can't see me behind the scenes, but when you're telling your story, I'm like, did you say, you know, right? I'm listening to your story.
You can't make this up. It's real. You know, you can't make it up. And, you know, I think the best lessons learned are from people who have been there, done that. It's not in a textbook. And I can guarantee you, with all the unwritten rules, they're not in an employee handbook.
That's
right.
You
know, we all stayed late. Why? You know, no one told us to. It's just the other person was, and the other person, you look around and you follow what others are doing instead of breaking the trend that is so silly and starting a new one and hoping that you create the new rules.
That's right. And and for those of you who are listening too, I've asked all of the panelists to tell more of their stories, because it's in those stories that we begin to hear multiple lessons. And so same with you, Victoria. What I really loved about what you were sharing was that this started off as a kid for you. And so you knew you loved playing in the boys arena sports, you know, completely male dominated. So for you, what did you have to overcome internally to climb to the top of your career?
Jen, I was lucky to be an athlete. I was a snowboarder. I was even in a male sport, let's say. My daughter now is a snowboarder as well. I support her very much, but in her team, she's the only girl. So it's not typically a female sport as well. And I was a national champion at that time. So being an athlete, being surrounded by boys as well, I'm very confident that I can do everything. I can climb every peak and go down. And I'm not afraid also to lose, but I like to win. You know, I'm very ambitious in this. But my internal thing that I have to overcome was the one thing that when I was a kid, I wanted to have 3 kids. And this is what I said to everybody in the kindergarten. I will have always 3 kids. And then I wanted my career, I wanted the sport, I wanted everything. And it's difficult to balance. This was what was difficult for me, how to decide when to deliver, how I have to give up for the job. I cannot grow because, you know, when I come back after maternity leave, then I'm again the low expert, and I have to again everybody to get to know me and to prove that I'm actually good enough to grow. And I have 3 kids now. So it was not easy.
Thank you for sharing that story too, especially when we start talking about ambition around, you know, I want to have 3 kids and I want to climb to the top of my career. So there are several things that you have to be able to overcome internally, which this is also a great transition into the next question, which I believe this one's going to go to Kay and to Allison. Actually, pause on Allison. I'm going to go Kay and Shelly, and then I'll come back to you, Allison, okay? So we're talking about entering exclusive networks, right? And I remember myself trying to move into different positions in leadership, that a part of it was that I had to get into some of those exclusive networks. Many times it was the good old boys club, right? What sort of advice do you have, or maybe even stories that you have, Kay, around entering exclusive networks?
Yeah, that's another whole subject we could do. Maybe we need to get on Clubhouse and just take one of these at a time and just do them every night.
Just unpack it, right?
Yeah, I think one of them is definitely finding a sponsor, a mentor, someone who's already in an influential position. Make sure they know and understand your accomplishments. Don't be scared to you know, your own horn, you know, and make sure they understand how well you're doing. And then, you know, those are the people then who will open those doors, especially if they kind of see you as a protege, you know, because it reflects back well on them if you do well. So I think mentors and sponsors are sometimes the only way, especially in sport, you know, where a lot of stuff, you know, to Allison's point, happens actually on the golf course. So sometimes it's learning to do those things that this is where the men are. And so if you want to meet them on their turf, then those are some skills you have to learn. But yeah, I definitely think finding those sponsors, male or female, who will help open those particular doors for you. How about you?
Yeah, Shelly, how about you?
Well, I think that's the whole premise of what I do, is creating a safe place that women feel comfortable supporting other women and creating a network. And I was the CEO of the fastest growing research company in the world. I was the only female CEO, top 25 my whole career. And it was pretty lonely at the top. It's really true. And I wanted to go to a technology conference. Put me in a research conference. I knew a lot of people. I've been, in market research for 30 plus years. And so I wanted to go to CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. I heard there was 150,000 people, less than 3% were women. A, I didn't know anyone in technology, and B, who wants to go to a place and not feel welcome? And so you have two options again. One, don't go because it's too scary. Or number two, do what I did, call 4 girlfriends and say, go with me to CES and we'll have a great time. We'll walk the floor together. We'll see new things and it'll be fun. And I said, by the way, if you have other girlfriends, invite them. 24 hours later, 50 women showed up, and 2 remarkable things happened. 1, we walked the floor, every single guy's head turned, like, where the heck did all you women come from? And it was this whoosh moment. It was like so amazing, because here we were, a pack. And it's when I coined the phrase power the pack. A woman alone has power, collectively we have impact. The second thing that happened was I was surrounded by people just like me. Talk about mentorship, sponsorship. We all have imposter syndrome and work-life balance and all the challenges that we have that we didn't know what to do with. And we were starting to share advice, and next thing you knew, more business was done. And day 2, 50 women turned to 100. Day 3, it was 300. We took over the penthouse suite. And that's when the Girls Lounge was born. If there was a boys club, the opposite of boy is girl, the opposite of club is lounge. If there's a boys club, now there's a girls lounge. And at the time, women said, but we're not girls, we're women. I said, have you ever heard of a man object to being a boy in the boys club? Why are we creating our own double standards? And that Girls Lounge today has connected over 50,000 women globally, women in the workplace, supporting one another. They have now evolved to equality lounges so that men feel as welcome as women, where we all create a network together to break the rules, create the new ones, and change the game.
Thank you for sharing that too, Shelley. And Allison, I want to kick off some of the Q&As coming in from the audience, specifically with you. So someone was, because I think that golf, this would be a great question for you. We have Jacqueline Mueller, who is a lecturer in sports management from the Sheffield Hallam University in UK. Here's what she asks. I was wondering if the panelists think that other sectors can learn something from sports or female athletes. In particular, do female athletes have unique skills that prep them for leadership? What do you think, Allison?
I'm glad I got this question. So one of the things that I've been doing lately that has been very eye-opening for me is I've been talking with a lot of different players on the Symetra Tour. So that is the tour that leads into getting your LPGA card. And so these women are spending around $30,000 a year to compete, to try to get their way into this profession of playing golf for a living on the LPGA Tour. So they're already starting at a disadvantage, right? I mean, how many professional athletes do you know are actually paying to play instead of being paid for it? So many of these women that I'm speaking with have a full-on side job, main job to their main job. So, I was a part of the audience for a Trailblazers event recently, and it was 10 women of color on the tour. It was part of a bigger initiative that they're doing. But, one of the women that I interviewed on my podcast on the Stick and Hack Network, please go check it out, is Shasta Avery Hart. And she was talking about being a Black woman playing golf, which is, obviously the white men's club is the golf world that we all know. And so she's telling me about business ventures that she has. And these women who ran the actual Trailblazers event are all players as well. And the event they put on was one of the best I've ever attended, from the platform they used to the content they produced, the video, the sponsors they had. I was blown away because they have a full-on media and events company that's doing huge things in addition to this. So I think what we can take away from these women on the Symetra Tour, they are balancing huge businesses along with the stress of trying to travel, make a living out of golf, but they've got all of these other passion points that they're doing. And a lot of them, you know, they want to be moms, they want to get married. A lot of these women are a little bit younger. But these women are balancing all of it and they are killing it. Like strong, smart, passionate, driven women with multiple talents. And so I think one of the biggest takeaways is you can have it all. You just have to redefine what that means. I have 3 kids. I have 3+ businesses. You know, you just redefine what it means, but these women really showcase it every day.
And thank you for sharing that story as well, too, because that is a great transition into another question that I have, which I do want to ask that question to you, Victoria. So working in an industry that's, there's been a long-standing fight toward gender equity, but when we also think about intersectionality, meaning being a woman of color. So if you could offer any advice to women of color in sports, what sort of advice would you offer?
My advice will be always believe in yourself, be confident, use your experience and knowledge. And of course you have to work hard, but this is for everybody. And in my mind, I never separate people. I'm very, gender equality is in me. And I never doubt in the strength of a woman and in our power. And I think we can always influence the people. We can be the good example that it's important to do your job and everything will come. And the color, I don't find any reason why we discuss this. I don't know why people separate people by color. I'm just coming back from Africa and I was with my little daughter, 4 years old, and she never discussed the color of the other kids that she was playing with. She was so kind with them. She was hugging them and kissing them. The kids never see this. I think this is what we invented and they're grown, and we should learn, teach our kids that actually we shouldn't even mention this. Then everything will be gone. Yeah.
In your eyes, it's absolutely the idea of race is a social construct. And Shelley, you and I, we had a deep conversation the other day, specifically about advice and things that we would share, specifically with other people coming up through the ranks as we're talking about women of color. Anything you'd like to add to what Victoria was saying?
You know, we talk a lot about diversity, and I think it's words. You know, we talk about gender, race, age, religion, intersectionality, ability. And I think at the end of the day, it's all about diversity of thought. And that's what, you know, having differences at the table is all about. And so I think instead of making our differences invisible, we need to make them quite visible and acknowledge them, accept them, reward them, reinforce them, showcase how important different groups of people coming together are. And when you think about team, if we all had the same opinion, if we all thought the same, if we all came from the same place, we wouldn't need everybody on the team. And so I think making that recognition of everyone's contribution, we're all different and we all bring different value to the table. And the collection of all of our values is what makes business better at the end of the day. And so I love recognizing all of that and pointing those things out and looking for it. You know, we talk about how we need to hire outside of our network so that we don't hire the same all the time. And I think that part of the systems we create today reinforce people hiring the same. We reward people for bringing their friends into the company. That doesn't work. My girlfriend talked about double yourself. And one of the things, if we keep doing the same thing with the same people in circles, that's called status quo. Double yourself, reach out to new communities so that we ensure that we hear and see all perspectives and not only represent, but also create that reflection from within.
Awesome. Thank you, Shelley. And I'm going to take another question from the audience. So this one goes over to you, Kay. So this one's from Danica Headley. And I apologize if I mispronounce your name. It could be Danica. Now, she's a graduate student, teaching and research assistant, University of New Brunswick, Canada. So this question is, how do you command space without becoming harsh and closed off? Good question.
Oh gosh, and this goes into that whole You never hear a guy being called bossy. That's something that only women get called. You get called emotional, and a guy will get called passionate. So unfortunately, those are some of the rules we have to learn in the boardroom and in our meetings. So I think I've learned one of the things is to be brief. If you've got an idea that you want to share, then keep it to 2 or 3 bullet points, and then stop. Because sometimes we have a tendency to waffle on and want to kind of reinforce what we're saying. But yeah, I just think have confidence in yourself and show that confidence. I've done speeches before, and I've literally stood in front of the mirror and practiced and practiced and practiced until I felt like I was where I was meant to be. And that also shows you if you're waving your arms around or, those kind of things. But have confidence in yourself.
Awesome. And thank you for sharing that. Let's say in 60 seconds, Allison, is there anything that you would add to what Kay was sharing around commanding space without being perceived as harsh and closed off?
I think one of the things that women tend to do that I know I've struggled with personally is we don't want to come off as bragging or being, talking too highly of ourselves. And I think that's a real disservice to our own professionalism and the accomplishments that we have. Once I launched my own business 6.5 years ago, I realized that I better do it quick. Otherwise, I wasn't going to be keeping and getting clients. So, celebrate the wins that you have, share the knowledge that you have, and really position yourself as a thought leader in your space if you feel that you have those credentials. Because there are not other people out there being your hype person personally, right? So you really need to do it yourself so that people understand what you're bringing to the table and why your voice is important and should be respected. And I think that earns you that spot at the table, and people will seek you out when they know that you know what you're talking about and that you're passionate about it.
Thank you. Now, this has been such an amazing conversation, and each of the questions that were asked and the questions that came in from the audience, we have all said we could easily have a ton of a whole hour just dedicated to each question, because it is truly a journey to the top of your profession. When you think about all the different intersectionalities, specifically being a woman in sport, which is what we're talking about today. So I truly thank each of you for sharing your experiences, sharing your story, and being a part of this panel. So thank you to you, Victoria, to you, Allison, to you, Shelley, and to you, Kay, as well. There's still a lot of work to be done, but it is so good to know we have a lot, the right people positioned in the right places to really truly affect change. And so if anyone else has, if anyone else out in the field, if you're doing the good work toward increasing representation of women in sport, keep doing that work. We know that it's hard. We know that the work that even Shelley and I are doing, the research that's supporting the work that's happening within the sports industry too. We know that that's also value added. So thanks to all of you for being on this panel, and thanks to the host as well. So I'll turn it back over to you in the studio.
Hey everyone, it's Karen Kaur from the United States, currently working at Lakeshore Foundation as their Policy and Public Affairs Coordinator. I'm also currently a SIGA champion and on their SIGA Standing Committee on Gender, Race, Inclusion, and Diversity. What should sports organizations do to co-power girls and women in sport? Well, as a disabled woman in sport, my question is, what can sports organizations do to co-power disabled women and girls in sport? Well, the first thing that we can do is recognize that the inclusion and participation of women and girls with disabilities in sport is a global responsibility. The second thing that we can do is to provide women and girls with more opportunities for competitive and recreational sport. The third thing that we can do is involve women and girls with disabilities in all outreach programs. The fourth thing, showcase, and have meaningful and impactful representation of disabled women and girls as successful athletes, successful coaches, successful role models, and successful leaders. And lastly, let us continue to include and prioritize disabled women and girls in governance and decision-making opportunities. Looking forward to expanding this conversation. Talk soon.
Hello, my name is Michelle Chai. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the Olympic Council of Malaysia, and I'm also a mentor on the SIGA Women Global Mentorship Program.
Hello, my name is Maysab Saivis from Lebanon. I am a former Lebanese table tennis champion and currently a table tennis coach at Antonia University for physical education students, and I am a mentee on the SIGA Women Global Mentorship Program.
Throughout my 20 over years in sports, I've been fortunate enough to shadow some fantastic leaders, both male and female. Being able to have someone that I can always refer to not only gave me the confidence to chart my own path, but there was always someone available to be my sounding board and to nudge me in the right direction. Programs such as the SIGA Women Global Mentorship Program is crucial in encouraging young leaders to explore and push their boundaries within a safe environment. I urge all sports organizations to replicate such programs and atmospheres within their organization.
For me, organizations must focus on community girls program at the grassroots level. It's providing coaching and mentoring programs like SIGA Women will result in women investing mental and physical knowledge in the world of sports. Coming from the Middle East, women face difficulties in sports. Women involvement in sports is ignored, as sports represents the risk of ethics, moral, and religious beliefs. The only future of changing the point of view of cultures and societies towards women representation and leadership in sports is time.
I'm really happy to be on the SIGA Women Global Mentorship Program with Mesa, who's an exceptional young female leader. I'm looking forward to sharing and exchanging my ideas with her.
Thank you, SIGA Women, for this excellent program and the opportunity to connect with Michelle. I am sure I will benefit from her experience.
Hello, my name is Sarah Soleiman-Ley. I work at FIFA in the governance department for the member associations of FIFA. I'm a SIGA mentor within the SIGA Global Women Mentorship Program, and today I'm with my mentee, Taryn.
Hi everyone, I'm Taryn Horner, a mentee on the program and also the sport engagement lead at Newham College of Further Education in London. We welcome you to the Web Summit on Female Sport Leadership, and we hope that you enjoy the week with us.
Great. So, Taryn, what do you think should sport organizations do to empower girls in sport?
Thanks, Sarah. This is such an important topic of discussion, and I think that it's highly important that all sports organizations and foundations are inclusive towards women and girls, and specifically towards the youth, because that's where we can have the most developmental impact. So it's highly important that sports organizations consider women's needs separate to those of their male counterparts, and that they provide opportunities for women to be their best and reach their potential within sport and the development objectives.
Well, that was great, Taryn. Thanks a lot. And do not forget to follow SIGA.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the week with us and use the hashtag SIGAWomen. Like, share, and follow.
Hi, I'm Doris Colon, CEO of the U.S. Center for Safe Sport. I am so very excited to participate in SIGA's Summit on Female Leadership in Sport, especially this March during Women's History Month. SIGA has brought together an incredible group of professional athletes, advocates, and those who support sport together to really talk about some of the tough issues that each of us encounter. So I hope you will join us March 8th through 10th. I'll see you there.
Hello, my name is Marely Flores. I'm Women's Tournaments Manager at FIFA, and I am a mentor on the SIGA Women Global Mentorship Program. Welcome to the SIGA Web Summit on Female Mentorship in Sports. I think that this program is very helpful because we can give our mentees the opportunity and also the tools that will help them to lead in this industry.
Hello, my name is Carla Hernandez Valdez. I'm from Mexico City. I'm a sales planner at Under Armour, and I'm a mentee on the SIGA Women Global Mentorship Program. Welcome to the SIGA Web Summit on Female Mentorship in Sports. SIGA Women Global Mentorship Program gives me the opportunity to develop my leadership skills and grow my network. SIGA Women.
Hello, my name is Dr. Lindsay Sarah Krasnoff. I'm a historian and research associate with the Center for International Studies and Diplomacy at SOAS University of London, and I'm a mentor for the SIGA Women Global Mentorship Program.
Hi, my name is Bethany Hushin, and I am a community manager at iSport Connect and also a part-time PhD student with the Institute of Sport Business at Loughborough University in London. And I am a mentee on the SIGA Women Global Mentorship Program.
Among the many things that sports organizations can do to empower girls in sports is to be authentic, be engaging, be inclusive, but importantly, to grant them the space and the opportunity to thrive and take ownership.
Mentorship programs like this one are really important, especially as a good way for people to learn off each other from different experiences, different knowledge, different backgrounds, and also to give a bit of an insight in terms of how people have faced challenges within working in sport and how we can face them, not just individually, but together.
We hope you enjoyed the summit.
Hashtag SIGA Women.
Hi, this is Vicky Conde, a former football player, coach, and now studying a Master's in Sports Ethics and Integrity, and I am a mentee in the SIGA Women Global Mentorship Program. I think that sports organizations should have a plan not only to include girls and women, but also to empower girls and women through sports, and it should be in their agendas and one of their priorities so they can develop future leaders. I also think that in order to achieve this, we also need more women in the decision-making roles so we can create more diverse teams. And personally, learning from other women, not only in the context of sports, but also outside of sports, has been an enriching experience. And having female representation in sports organizations is an important step for younger girls and women to believe that they can be a part of the future. And with that being said, welcome to the SIGA Web Summit on Female Mentorship in Sports.
Hello everyone, I am Maureen Rosita Ojonga-Bobison. I am a social entrepreneur and a sports and development specialist. I currently serve as program director for the SEED project, and I am a proud mentee of the SIGA Young Females in Sports Mentoring Program. Now, tomorrow is the International Women's Day, and SIGA has put together a 3-day web summit to really discuss on key themes that involves the empowerment of women in sports. I want to just, put out this message and say that getting more women involved in the sports industry or young girls involved in sports cannot be done without the male counterparts, cannot be done without male mentors. I am an example of how much male counterparts and male mentors can really encourage a young woman to embrace her full potential and to encourage her to embrace opportunities around her environment. I would not be in the position I am today if I didn't have male mentors who encouraged me, who pushed me forward, and who really believe in me. So I believe that this web summit is an opportunity that SIGA is creating to bring stakeholders, from around the world to really discuss about the future of sports and also how to encourage and empower more young girls and women to get involved in sport programs. And I encourage each and every one of you to get registered for this web summit. It's not too late. And of course, we're looking forward to all the exciting panels and the exciting information we are going to get tomorrow. Thank you, SIGA.
Hi, my name's Stacey Copeland and I'm a proud SIGA champion and a member of the SIGA Committee for Diversity and Inclusion. I'm here today at my granddad's boxing gym where I started out in sport as a little kid. And from there, I went on to represent my country in 2 sports, both football and boxing, and ultimately won the Commonwealth title as a professional boxer. Sport has given me some incredible opportunities, going on a scholarship to America. I've been able to compete in Sweden, Brazil, Korea, Japan, Kazakhstan. and many, many more places. I've experienced different cultures, had incredible mentors, and learnt so many lessons that apply to the rest of my life and have allowed me to develop and flourish as a human being. Sport is one of the most powerful things on the planet for making a difference, and it really can show humanity at its very, very best. But in order to do that, we have to have equal access and opportunities for people, regardless of race, gender, sexuality, disability, class, background, whatever it might be. Please, please be part of that, because without kids like me having opportunities in places like this, we cannot reach our full potential, and you can be part of that. And you can be part of that by attending the SIGA Women in Leadership Conference from the 8th to the 10th of March. Please be there, please be part of this incredible movement. I stand on the shoulders of the people who came before, and now it's our turn and your turn together, collectively, to stand strong and make great opportunities for the next generation so that they can go on and do even better. So please join us and we'll see you there. Thanks.
Hello, good evening from Doha in Qatar. My name's Karen Webb-Moss, and I'm currently Senior Advisor to the leadership of the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy and the Football World Cup here in Qatar in 2022. I am a proud mentor of the SIGA Women Global Mentorship Program, and a very, very warm welcome to the SIGA Summit on Female Mentorship in Sport. Despite the increase in women's competition, number of women's sports being, getting onto programs such as the Olympic program, higher engaged audiences, and even female domination in some sports, despite the number of women working in sport at a senior level, despite the few, yes, unfortunately just a few women that actually run governing bodies or organising committees, despite the efforts of many organisations, primarily organisations such as SIGA, women still face significant obstacles in the world of sport. So let's have a look at some of these obstacles that we face. Trying to sum them up is not easy, but I think it comes down to one, the heritage, traditions of how sport is run, the governance of sport, the longevity of some of the presidents and the leadership. And unfortunately, these have been men for many years, many in terms after terms of leadership. And the other issue is really culture. And I think that's prime, whether that's culture within the organizations that govern sport. It's also the culture of grassroots clubs to sports on and off the field of play. The culture of an organization and the traditions that run it lead us to obstacles, barriers and issues such as equal access to roles, lack of female opportunities for females with roles, workplace flexibility issues, lack of equal pay, inequality when it comes to media or sponsors, when it comes to TV rights for some of women's sports. And particularly with the sponsorship, this leads to huge issues for women wanting to compete at an elite level regarding their preparation as well as their competition.
Good morning, good day, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. This is Azera Chabangu, the Technical Director for the Association of National Olympic Committees of Africa, ANOCA for short. I am a mentor in the SIGA Women Global Mentorship Program. I have been involved in the program since last December, and I must say that I have been enjoying the journey, and I thank NOMSA for recommending me for this program, because I now have a structured way in which I can give back to other young women in sport who are coming through the ranks, who are finding their feet, because I believe I have an obligation to give back because of other people who have actually given me the opportunity, who have recommended me for certain tasks or certain positions to be where I am today. I believe that the biggest challenge or obstacle in sport globally is other women. And this I'm saying based on my own personal experiences, where you will find that it's actually other women that will be blocking you or blocking opportunities or taking opportunities from you. Whereas you will find men will be more willing to actually assist you or to even recommend you for opportunities. So I believe that as women, as females in sport, if we can change that particular attitude, that particular mentality, we will go far.
Hi, this is Ebube Chukwu. I'm a sports management master student and an intern in Nigerian School Sports Federation. I am a mentee in Sports Integrity Global Alliance SIGA Female Mentorship Program. This mentorship program is very essential because it helps young sports women to brood and enhance their leadership quality and skills. The mentorship program involves mentor and mentee relationship, whereby the mentors who are well exposed and have been in the field of sports for a very long time help the mentees to actualize their potentials, because the mentees are not really much exposed, so that when we, the mentees, go out there, we'll be able to render quality services and also contribute immensely in the development of sports globally. I welcome all of us to this 2021 SIGA Web Summit, and I believe that you will enjoy your stay with us.
Hi, I'm Jackie Trainer and I'm the Anti-Doping Integrity Manager for British Rowing and Board Director for Sport Resolutions and UK Deaf Sport. I'm a mentee on SIGA Women's Global Mentorship Programme and I'm a mum of twin toddlers. Mentorship programs like SIGA Women are so important for supporting women for a career in the sports industry. Globally, the movement to grow diversity and inclusion has never had so much traction, but we can't simply click our fingers and assume that change is going to happen overnight. It needs to be nurtured before it can grow and flourish and become the new norm. Through a mentoring program, experiences can be shared and women can be supported in navigating the minefield which can be a male-dominated industry. Through my experience of SIGA Women, I have been introduced to some exceptional role models from around the world, from whom I've been able to learn and to ask the questions I've previously been afraid to ask. A mentoring program is an opportunity to reflect on yourself, to apply the guidance offered by your mentor, and to grow in confidence to become leaders, and in turn become a mentor for the next generation of female leaders in sport. If you're a sports organisation, I encourage you to consider a mentoring programme. Champion your female colleagues and provide them with a platform to feel supported and valued.
Hi, I'm Jane Bond and I'm the Head of Brand, PR and Communications at the Hong Kong Rugby Union and also a mentee of the SIGA Women Global Mentorship Programme. So welcome to the SIGA Web Summit on Female Mentorship in Sports. In terms of mentorship, to me, being part of a program like SIGA has been super empowering and super beneficial. I've been amazed by the sort of caliber of mentors that have been available to chat to, some women really at the top of their sporting careers. We've chatted about stories, about how they've developed their careers and really quite amazed to hear of the challenges they've been through and how they've overcome things, something that I imagine myself getting through at some point too. So learning those kind of new skills and how to approach things has been really, really beneficial for me. Loved it so far and would really recommend anyone starting out in their career or looking to develop their career further to find something similar or get involved in SIGA because it really is very beneficial. So thank you very much for all who have organised this.